Hornsby is an incredible singer, songwriter and pianist, and his unique style on the piano has influenced so many musicians. There's some jazz influences in his playing, there's some country, there's some virtuosic lines, there's so much. And he's probably best known for the song The Way It Is, which has one of the greatest piano intros of all time. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the tips and tricks that Bruce is using when he plays this song, and then I'm going to show you how you can take all those ideas and get them into your own playing. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to the Keys Coach YouTube channel. My name's Adam and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here and you haven't seen one of our videos before, I help people get a little bit more creative on the keys. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be looking at Bruce Hornsby's The Way It Is, and we're going to start off by learning the main groove, because so many people want to learn the intro, which is like the really kind of like rubato, long intro where it pulls about all the chords. But actually so much of that intro comes from the main groove itself. So we're going to delve straight into that main groove. So we're in the key of G here, and the G major scale is... We've got that one sharp just there, F sharp. And when I'm talking about the groove, I'm talking about this section. Kind of bit where all the drums come in and it begins to get going. Now within that groove you have the kind of underlying harmony, and then you have decoration on top. So the underlying harmony would be the chords that are kind of going on underneath, not necessarily even the voicings he's playing. Voicings is kind of another way of saying the kind of order of the notes he's playing in each hand. But it's the kind of chords. So we need to kind of break down what is the essential elements of that groove. What are the underlying chords that are going on all throughout that? Well, it begins on an A minor, which is there, okay? There's our A minor voicing. And then he goes to an E minor 7. Now, when I'm talking about sort of decoration, this could be decoration. Just adding in that little rhythmic push. We're just breaking it down to the bare chords. There's E minor 7. Then it goes to a D triad. And then it goes to a C sus2. If you're wondering what a C sus2 is, it's basically... There's our regular C major triad, and all we do is we replace the third with the second. We take the third out and replace it with the second. So far we've got A minor, E minor 7, D, C sus2. Those are the kind of four main chords that happen. He happens to be going and kind of adding little extra bits, but can you see that those chords kind of the main framework under all of that? He then plays a G, followed by an A minor over D. Now, don't worry too much about this chord. We've got an A minor in our right hand and a D in our left hand. But actually what he does here is a little trick using what we call Gospel Triads. I'm going to break that down a little bit later. So we've got G, then A minor over D, going back to the C sus2. So that whole introduction, we've got A minor, E minor 7, D, C sus2, and then the second half, G, A minor over D, back to C sus2. I'm going to have a go at just playing those voicings with the track. You might have noticed that I was pushing a few chords there. And all pushing means is that the chord comes slightly earlier. It doesn't fall on the beat, it falls just before the beat on one of the subdivisions. Let me just show you. So I was playing A minor on the beat, but then I was pushing the E minor You see that? So I was going 1, 2, push. See that? That's a push. And then I was doing the same thing on the D and the C sus2. So I was going push on the beat, push. Now I want you to be able to practice everything I'm covering in this video at home. So I've put together a free PDF lesson book that's going to take you through every single exercise I'm covering. It contains the notation for every step in this video. You can go and grab your copy. It's completely free. The link is down in the video description. So now we've got the main kind of harmonic framework of that intro down. Let's see if we can add in some of the detail that makes this kind of groove and this intro so incredible and so memorable. It's all those little bits that kind of Bruce adds in that just makes it flow and makes it sound so great. So how does he begin? Well, he does this. So we've got a couple of things there. We've got this little melody that goes up to the first voicing. It kind of leads us into that first chord. We've also got that rhythm, haven't we? Which just keeps on coming back throughout the whole song. And then what we do is we've got another little melody that links us to the next chord. And there's also a little shift there. I'll break that down really slowly. And that little shift on that D chord, it's a G triad he goes up to in second inversion. And we're in the key of G, so he's kind of referencing back to the key. Then we go to the C sus2. So I'll play all of that. And then there's this melody that leads us into the G. And then he does this really cool trick in his right hand. He goes... Isn't that amazing? So good. It's like Gospel Triads. That's what this is called. They just sound amazing. And he does exactly this kind of Gospel Triad trick in his right hand. So he's mainly playing two triads there. You got the G we begin with, and then he does a kind of inversion, another G triad. And he alternates between a G and an A minor. I'm going to break this down a little bit more a little bit later on, but check it out. G, A minor, G, A minor, G, to the C sus2. They're actually quite hard to play really fast because there's so many little movements, but maybe break it down really slowly and just get each of those triads really secure before you move on. So what's he playing in his left hand? Well, he's mainly playing octaves. And then he plays power chords, okay? And power chords are essentially the root and the fifth. They sound amazing on guitar. They sound amazing on piano, particularly lower down when you're playing this kind of style. He goes G. So a power chord on a G would be G and a D, the root and the fifth of that chord. And then he goes to a D power chord and then a C power chord. I mean, power chords and octaves, you can kind of choose what you play. Some people really like the sound of that really beefy octave. And other people like playing the root and the fifth. If you can't stretch an octave, then maybe the fifths might be the way to go. But yeah, change it up, see what you like the sound of. I absolutely love playing this groove. I think it's so good. There's just so much in it that just is so lovely to play under your fingers. It's so nice. Okay, I'm going to have a go at playing this now with the backing track, and we're going to go twice through. Here we go. So now we've got that main riff under our fingers. Let's go back to the big piano introduction. This is the bit that everyone wants to learn, the kind of big rubato opening. Rubato means that it's kind of slowed down, it's not in tempo, it's quite kind of dramatic and the tempo gets pulled about. I'm talking about this section here. That section. But you can see all he's doing there is he's going through the kind of chords of the main groove. So if I talk you through it, A minor, E minor 7, D, C, G, D, C, or C sus2. Now there's a lot of kind of extra notes that are being added and extra kind of tips and kind of tricks, but the essence of it is kind of all around those chords. So great, isn't it? But rather than taking the kind of whole thing, let's take a little nugget. And this is something I really like to do on this channel. A little fragment of something he plays that we can then kind of take out of this song and put into our own music, whatever that might be. And the bit I really love is this section here. That's the bit I really love, where you just keep that G at the top. That kind of style to me, that kind of style of playing, it's very... It's got that kind of country sound to it, hasn't it? And he does this in the intro. He actually does this in the second bar, just after he's played there. So we're just going to take that. So what's he actually doing here? Well, he's splitting the triad. So there's our C major triad. By the way, I'm only talking about my right hand here, really. My left hand is just playing an open fifth, a power chord, could be playing an octave. Doesn't really matter. I'm only focusing on my right hand. And on every single movement, that G is being played. So it's a C chord, and I'm kind of scooping up to the third, or sliding, however you want to call it. And then I'm going down to the second, but also playing that G on top again, and then going to the open fifth. So the whole thing. So this is kind of like a little nugget that we can then use on any major chord. For instance, do you kind of get the idea? It's like, here's a little tool for any major chord that I can just add a little bit of movement on. I love it. So good. I love that little trick. So that split triad is going to be the first thing we're going to extract from this intro. The second thing we're going to take is the rhythm. That's the rhythm we're going to take. Don't worry about the notes I'm playing, but just really hear that rhythm. My left hand's going bat, bat. And my right hand is going bat, bat, bat. So together, that's the pattern. That's the kind of little rhythmic nugget we're going to extract and put into whatever it is we create next. Now we're also going to take this gospel triad trick. Let me just play you the sound of this kind of idea. I'm just kind of improvising here, but just to give you a bit of an idea of the sound world. I use these gospel triads all of the time in my playing. They're so useful and so versatile. I've actually already made a tutorial about how I use these, and I've linked that up above. So if you want to go into a bit more depth, go and check that out. But the general principle is you only ever use 2 triads in your right hand. So in the key of G, did you spot the 2 triads I'm using? I'm going to do it again coming down. The 2 triads I'm using are G and A minor. So if you look, I'm only ever playing one of those 2 triads. And I'm using inversions of them, so we kind of get lots of different shapes. And my melody note is at the top. So if I move away from playing the scale and kind of just play melodies, and you might notice I'm missing out in our major scale. I missed out the F sharp. Do you see, if the melody note is at the top of our voicing, I missed out the F sharp. That's because F sharp doesn't fit in to either a G or an A minor triad. And another reason I like them, they work over any root note in the key. So my left hand can just move freely, and my right hand can improvise. And they just sound great. So just to recap, where are those gospel triads in the Bruce Hornsby groove? Well, they're here. There they are. Okay, so we've now got all the little nuggets we're going to take away. We've got our split triads. We've got our rhythm. That kind of rhythm that keeps on coming back. And we've also now got the gospel triads. So we're going to take those three ideas and put them into our new sequence. So why do we need a new sequence anyway? Some of you might be thinking, well, why can't we just play them on the Bruce Hornsby track? Well, the thing is, if you only ever play them, these like ideas, when you're playing Bruce Hornsby's the way it is, you're going to kind of be limited because you can only ever bring them out when you're playing this song. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could take all of these ideas and play them on whatever song you were playing at the time? This is what we're trying to do here. And one of the ways I do that is to put a new chord sequence, come up with your own chord sequence in a new key. And the reason why we change keys is because it just freshens up your ears. I speak about this a lot on the channel, but freshening up your ears when you're working and you're practicing is so important because it just gets you into a new space, a new context, and you start hearing new ideas as well. So that's really important. Now, the sequence we're going to look at today is going to be in the key of C. So we're going to go to C major, okay? C major is all the white notes on the piano. And our sequence is going to go C, G, B flat, F. So what are those chords in the key of C? Well, they're chord 1, followed by chord 5. Then we go to flat 7, the B flat chord, and then we go to F. And in the second half, we're going to go between C, G, F. Do you see that? The last bit? C, G, F. So chords 1, 4, and 5. I'll play the whole sequence. That last voicing, I'm holding over that top note. Rather than playing the F at the top, I'm just holding over that G from the previous chord. So it's a kind of F add 9 sound. So the first thing we're going to do is get that rhythm in there. Now, do you remember the rhythm? So if we put that rhythm on our new chord sequence, it's going to sound like this. I'll do it again. That's the first half. And in the second half, we're just going to play on the beat. So we're only going to do that rhythm in the first half of our sequence. So it's going to go with the rhythm. Then just on the beat. Let's have a go at playing that through with a backing track. Let's go again. So now we've got our foundations, we've got the chord sequence, we've got the rhythm. We're now going to have a go at adding in the split triads. Now we're going to put the split triads on the second half of our chord sequence. So we've got the first half. We're going to put in the split triads here. We're going to go like that. So what did I do there? Well, I'm splitting that triad on the C, and And then I'm doing exactly the same thing on the G chord. I've basically transposed it down to G, exactly what I was playing on the C on the G. So the whole thing's going to sound like this. It kind of sounds a little bit like, it's going to come to me in a second. There's a track that it sounds just like, I know what it is. Handbags and glad rags. It's got that kind of sound, that split triad sound. It's straight out of the Handbags and glad rags world. Some of you might know that from the theme tune to The Office here in the UK. Yeah, but it's this. Okay, let's have a go at playing that through with the backing track. Okay, we've got one more thing left to add, and that's our Gospel Triads. Now, these are going to come right at the end of the chord sequence. So we're going to play our Split Triads first. And then we're going to do this. I'll do it again. So what's going on there? We're in the key of C. And if you remember back, the two triads we need are chords 1 and chords 2 in the key, which in the key of C will be C and D minor. So our Gospel Triads are C and D minor. And I've just come up with a little melody that we can play. I'll do it once more for you. There it is, just two triads, C and D minor. So simple, but so effective. There's quite a lot of stuff I'm covering here, so don't forget you can grab that free PDF lesson book. It's got all of these exercises written out for you. Okay, let's have a go at playing our sequence with all of those three things. We've got the rhythm, we've got the split triads, and we're now going to add in the Gospel Triads at the end. Here we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you found it useful. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and let me know how you got on. And if you're looking for another video to take your keys playing to that next level, check out this video right here.